Anyhoozle. So one thing that I did kind of want to look at before talking about the serious anti-queer news today is all the quote tweets on this tweet. So this dude, Josh or whatever, says, when trans rights activists / men's rights activists, love how we're lumping those two groups of people in together, as though men's rights activism isn't like a very specific, irritating thing that is like probably relatively opposed to trans rights anyway. It's because they can't help but like accuse trans women of being men trying to assert their rights over women in some weird bullshit context. So when trans rights activists and men's rights activists mock regular people who say, rightly so, that they can tell who is trans and who is not, because they believe you absolutely cannot tell, my question to you is, why aren't trans women ever asked or approached to be surrogates? And so, like, there's the obvious initial stupidity of, like, you don't really ask random people to be surrogates. You genuinely, you like, ask people that you know, right? So if you know a woman in your life well enough to ask her to be a surrogate for you, you probably would know whether she's got a uterus or not, you know? Like, you know, just for the first thing, that's the number one. Number two is the sheer volume of people who have quote tweeted this and described their situations in life where they've been mistaken for cis people. Like, so this trans woman says, my new doctor, when was your last smear test? Me, I don't have a cervix. Why do you think that? Because I'm transgender. How long have you thought you were really a man? I've never thought I was really a man. I'm a trans woman. Doctor goes, right, but it's like, ... Like, and this is basically the entire gist of most of these quote tweets. Callan Conrad says, I've had trans men assume I'm a trans dude, and gender critical people have called me a, quote, confused female. Maybe I'm clockable, but bitch, nobody knows what time it is. Yeah, Zinnia said, I've had an oral surgeon ask me if I was pregnant before an x-ray, and then they put the lead cover on anyway after I told them that I was trans. Steph says, multiple times in my life at a doctor's or specialist appointments, I've said, I don't have a uterus, and they've looked at me like I had it ripped out of my body by an alien. Oh, God. This person says, I was at the doctor, told the nurse who was doing my intake stuff that I was there to get a checkup on my hormones. She was great, and we were talking about our piercings and tattoos, and after admitting we both had our nipples pierced, she recommended I get a clit piercing. Girl, they don't know what time it is. I get smear test letters every few years. When I see my doctor in person, they ask if I am or have ever been pregnant, even though my records are right in front of them saying that I transitioned. The other day, I was standing next to a friend and his baby, and a woman in the queue asked me, how old is your baby? It just keeps going on. It just goes on and on forever like this. So many examples. I think that these are like all real. These are like surrogate examples. Oh, this is great. I'm not exaggerating that I had to argue with my boyfriend's mom that I was trans and that I don't have a womb because she just wouldn't accept it. And TBH, I think she is still confused about it. Oh my God. Oh my God, this is rich. I played 20 questions with a nurse prior to a surgery where she was frantically trying to figure out why I said I didn't need a pregnancy test and why there was no record of my last menstruation. What surgery was I in for, you might ask? It was my vaginoplasty. Like, oh no. I know, like, what are they doing? What, like, she's literally there to get a vaginoplasty. Like, what? Okay. I don't understand. Yeah, just a shit ton of trans women are like, when I go to a hospital, I regularly get asked if there's any possibility that I could be pregnant. And I always say, no, it's not possible, and that I'm a trans. And then they will always go on to then ask me when my last period was. Like, I guess they just always assume if they didn't clock you, if you're passing, then when you say I'm trans, they always assume that you haven't started T yet, or that you haven't started E or whatever. Like, and that you are not yet transitioning, basically, because it's just like so impossible for them to think, oh, this is a fully like transitioned person or whatever. Like, I cannot imagine that a trans person could pass and I couldn't tell by glancing at them what genitals they have. And yet And yet. Big time I get asked if I'm planning to take T, and I don't know if they're doing it to flatter me, but they can totally keep that shit up. Yeah, amen. Oh, this is a trans man who says, when I had to get an x-ray, the tech handed me the lead mat for my crotch and made a joke about preserving the family jewels. They absolutely cannot tell. I can't think of the last time I went for a medical exam where I wasn't asked if there was a possibility I was pregnant or how my periods were. I also got recommended for an ovulation test because of hormone levels, and I had to explain that me not ovulating was correct. This is kind of funny though, because like once a month I think about asking a friend who is trans if he would be our sperm donor, and then I have an oh wait moment. Even the queers do it sometimes. We should talk about serious news. Thank you to my supporters, especially Tiago Nascimento, Mersh Rolvog, Michelle Frateroli, Danielle McDonald, Amanda B., Spooky Heather Sylvia, Athiet, Kevin Young, Sarah A., Michelle Winter, Past Null Infinity, Robin Olson, Jamie Jam, Desi Quiche, Suzanne Maynard, Nova, Elizabeth Bartell, Mr. Atheist, Sojo, and DZXN.